Disconnected. BTC plans to separate with 140 workers. What does it mean for your service? Unfair fares. Taxi drivers upset at a new setup. Swimming starts. The national championships hit the water. The Bahamas tonight. The national report starts right now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Unions pledge support for BTC workers in the fight to save jobs. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Saunders. Scores of BTC line staff employees who are members of the Bahamas Communication and Public Officers Union learned that more than 100 of them will be made redundant as early as next week. And as BCPOU membership digests the news, Siaska Adderley tells us tonight that other unions are pledging their support, saying the fight to save jobs is not over.
Unwelcome news expected since BTC's voluntary separation packages were announced in March finally hit BTC's line staff Thursday. Emotions including sadness and outrage clearly evident as employees were informed of management's decision to sever ties with 140 staff come Tuesday. BCPOU's President Bernard Evans says the fight is not over.
When your back is against the wall, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Right now is for our own self-preservation. Everything that's available to us in our arsenal, we're going to do it. There's one thing we haven't done, and might have to use that.
The redundancies include field services, riggers, contact centers in Nassau and Grand Bahama, directory publication, warehouse, and stores. Family Island operations are not affected.
That's distressing news for me as a Bahamian. It's distressing news for me as a worker, because today it could be these 140 workers from BTC. Tomorrow it could be me at the College of the Bahamas leaving.
Listen here, if it's going to happen to 150 today or Tuesday, come next month, when it happens to 200, and the month after that when the month keep growing, what we can do?
He has my support in what he needs to do because actually we up next. So
the redundancies come 18 months after the government signed an agreement with Cable and Wireless in 2014, placing 2% of the shares CWC once held into a BTC Trust Foundation. Now, with job cuts looming, other union leaders express a solidarity with BTC's union, and industrial action has not been ruled out to save jobs.
I promise you, Lime won't do this in no other Caribbean country but the Bahamas. Bahamians need to rise up. You sit down too much and wait for something to come your way. Nothing coming your way, brother. Get up, be radical.
And we're the ones who toil day to day to make this country run. I think the time has come to shut this country down.
If all efforts fail, Evans says he and his team will continue to work on behalf of members to ensure that there are no further job losses. Siaska Adderley, ZNS Network News.
There appears to be some good news in this situation. ZNS News has learned that talks were ongoing throughout the day between BCPOU executives and BTC CEO Leon Williams in an effort to save jobs.
For instance, if I would use the tower rigging department, for instance, these are the gentlemen that take care of the towers, do installations and maintenance. If they want to outsource that particular department, those guys who reside in that department will be able to form a company and enter into a contract. We hope multi-year contract with BTC.
We'll be following this story throughout the weekend. In other news, all is not well in the taxi business, especially for those operating along the busy Prince George Wharf. Fern Carey tells us tonight that many of them say they are challenged by negative reviews from the cruise industry and some other issues.
Taxi drivers are up in arms over what they described as a laundry list of unresolved issues, and they are calling on the government to intervene. President of the Bahamas Taxi Cab Union, Philip Watkins, claims that taxi drivers have been locked out of talks on proposed changes at the Prince George Wharf and also face daily harassment by authorities.
On a regular basis, police are harassing these drivers, giving them unnecessary tickets, Can you imagine bringing the fare from Paradise Island for $16 and to get a ticket for $80? I try to figure out what kind of arithmetic these people are using. When you're putting something in place, especially for the first time, get with the stakeholders that we could know what we will do. For example, come July 1st, the Minister of Tourism mentioned in the House that there'll be some changes. What are the changes? Is it going to affect us negatively or positively?
Chairman of Prince George Wharf Association, Maxwell Adderley, acknowledged that their concerns, including improved working conditions, are not new, but says they need to be urgently addressed.
I've requested from some 12 months ago that the gate be open earlier for a smooth transition. In this area, the restroom in this area is in a deplorable state. It has deteriorated from then to now. It is unacceptable. We've asked, as well as for the awnings in this area, to be replaced back. This is now the rainy season that is upon us, and the drivers are in this area without protection.
Taxi drivers say their main concern is the negative press that they are allegedly getting from the cruise directors, and they're hoping that that will stop soon.
Information that they impart to the guests before they leave the cruise ship make all of us look as criminals. Right? Do not ride with the taxi cab drivers. Right? Don't carry no money.
I've appealed to the government also to please, just to show the tourists, the cruise passengers, that we are legit and it's okay to ride with us. Markings on Woods Rogers Walk for the taxi parking area. And even though they fulfill that, one of the utility companies came along, they dug up the road and removed the marking, and we appealed to the government over and over again to please either put it back or have the utility company put it back.
Now we spoke to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Harrison Thompson, who indicated that tourism officials are aware of negative comments from the cruise directors. He says discussions are ongoing to ameliorate the negative fallout to taxi drivers. Thompson also indicated that efforts are being made to address concerns on working conditions. Vern Carey, ZNS Network News.
The Bahamas has made a lasting impression on delegates at the 19th Conference of the Commonwealth Education Ministers. The group spent the week at the Atlanta's Paradise Island Resort formulating ways to provide quality education for the young people of the Commonwealth. The closing ceremony and final press conference was held earlier today. Altavis Munning joins us live now to tell us really what's next for education throughout the Commonwealth. Alto.
Chris, the press conference ended not too long ago featuring the Minister of Education, Science and Technology, the Honorable Jerome Fitzgerald, along with Commonwealth Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, and Education Ministers from Vanuatu, India, and Botswana. Joining me right now is the coordinator one of the coordinators for the local organizing committee, Janice Knowles. And Mrs. Knowles, I know that organizing this conference was not an easy task, but tell us, now that the conference is over, what's next for the committee?
So we had a local organizing committee that was made up of some 18 subcommittees, and what we had put in place was that we provided them with an evaluation or sort of like a reporting tool so that they would have the opportunity to go through the varying tasks that they would have performed and be able to evaluate. In order to do that, when we began, we developed what we called a master tool, so that each committee was asked to identify all of the logistical things that they would need to do in order to fulfill their role. And so now what they're going to do is go back and evaluate exactly how well they got that done, what were the things that went well, what were the things that possibly didn't go as well as they would have expected to. And the whole idea behind it is that we're seeking to develop a template of this entire conference, because we feel that it is one that would serve to elevate our country, and other ministries, other persons who would have a conference such as this should not have to start from scratch as we did. And so we want to be able to leave a template in place so that persons would be able to come to that and be able to move very quickly into the actual planning of a conference of this magnitude.
Tell us about the response that the Ministry of Education got from delegates here regarding this conference.
We are so pleased. It has been wonderful. We've had delegates who have actually already returned to their home countries, and the emails are pouring in. everybody's expressing what a wonderful time they had. And we've had responses from the youth, we've had responses from the teachers, we've had responses from our stakeholders and ministers. They are all excited to have had the opportunity to share in this conference. Believe it or not, we had persons coming in just yesterday. We had a delegation that came from Malawi, and they had been having some visa problems, but they were determined because they had been getting the emails from their friends who were here. And so they determined, we're coming anyway. And so when I spoke to them today, they said it was just great to get here. They enjoyed the basically 1.5 days that they got out of it, and it has been a rewarding experience for them. So we're grateful and we're thankful to that team of persons who served as chairpersons and their supporting staff, because without them, it could not have happened. And so we say kudos to our team. We have been able to do what we set out to do, and that was to build capacity across the varying ministries, across the government sector and private sector to some extent. And so now the Bahamas, like any other country, is ready to go to that level that is accepted and known to be the standard of the Bahamas.
Thank you so much, Ms. Knowles. Great to see you.
Thank you.
And that does it for our coverage of the 19th Conference of Commonwealth Education Ministers. We encourage you to stay tuned to the ZNS Network this weekend for a full wrap-up. You can also see the closing ceremony as well as the press conference featuring government education officials from here and across the Commonwealth. Reporting from the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort, I'm Altovise Munnings.
It's a state-of-the-art facility putting the Bahamas and the region on the map for cancer treatment. I'm Clint Watson. I'll tell you all about it coming up in the Bahamas tonight.
The Bahamas joins member states around the world to commemorate International Day Against Drug Abuse. That story coming up in the Bahamas tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by the new Shell and Lettuce, designed for extra miles.